The day the whisper started, the harmattan wind was blowing dust devils through our village square. I remember it like it was yesterday. Even though my bones now creak louder than a rusty door, I was just a young man then, strong and quick, fetching water from the stream. That's when I first heard it. The hushed tones, the shaking of heads. Bala is bewitched, they said, their voices low like the rumble of distant thunder. He's lost his mind. At first, I didn't understand. Bala was our village hunter, a good man, kind to everyone, even the village dogs that always stole scraps from his cooking pot. He wasn't rich, no, but he had a good heart and a smile that could chase away the darkest clouds. Why were they saying he was bewitched? Then the rumors grew louder, bolder. It was about a woman, not just any woman, mind you. It was Yemi. Yemi, who lived on the edge of the village, near the woods. Yemi, whose laughter was as rare as rain in the dry season. Because the other villagers, well, they weren't kind to Yemi. They called her names, cruel names, because Yemi was different. Yemi was big, not just plump, like a well-fed chicken. Yemi was enormous. When she walked, the ground seemed to tremble a little. Her laughter, when you did hear it, was like the deep booming of the talking drums, echoing and powerful. But mostly, there was silence around Yemi. A heavy silence filled with stares and pointed fingers. And now the whispers were saying Bala was courting Yemi. Bala, our kind, gentle hunter, wanted to marry the giant woman of the village. That's when the whispers turned to warnings. Wisdom, you are young. Listen to your elders. Old Mama Efe told him, her eyes wide with worry. That woman, she is not ordinary. Marrying her can only bring bad luck. A curse, I tell you. A terrible curse. But Bala, he didn't listen to the whispers. He didn't see a curse. He saw something else in Yemi. And that, my children, is where our story truly begins. The day Bala decided to marry Yemi, the day the village truly believed he had lost his senses, was the day we all started to learn the hidden truth. A truth that was bigger and rounder than Yemi herself. A truth that would change our village forever. Are you listening closely? Good. Because the unsettling part, the part that will make your skin crawl a little, is yet to come. Bala and Yemi, they met in secret, like shadows dancing in the moonlight. Our village, you see, was small. Everyone knew everyone's business. Sometimes, even before they did themselves. So for Bala to court Yemi, with all the village eyes watching, would have been like trying to hide an elephant in a chicken coop. Impossible. They met by the stream, the same stream where I fetch water, but further up, where the trees grew thick and the bushes hid secret. I saw them sometimes from a distance. Bala so lean and quick, and Yemi so substantial. He would bring her gifts, a fat fish he caught, or sweet fruits he found in the forest. She would smile, and her smile, it was like the sun breaking through the clouds after a long rain. It was beautiful. But the village, they didn't see the smiles. They only saw the sighs. They said Yemi ate too much, that she was lazy, that she was a body. They didn't see her kind eyes, the gentle way she spoke to the birds, or how she helped old Papa Ade with his farm work, even though it was hard for her to bend down. Bala saw all of that. He told me once, when we were mending our fishing nets by the river, wisdom, you see the outside. Yes, like everyone else. But Yemi, her heart is bigger than her body. It's full of sunshine and kindness. She's like the baobab tree, strong and giving shade to everyone who needs it. I was young then, remember? I didn't fully understand, but I saw the way Bala looked at Yemi. It wasn't with pity or anything like that. It was with respect and something else, something warm and bright, like the embers of a cooking fire on a cold night. It was love. Dashola and Lolade, Yemi's sisters, they were the worst. They lived with Yemi in a small hut on the edge of the village, but they treated her like a servant, not a sister. They were thin and sharp-tongued, always whispering behind Yemi's back, laughing at her, making her fetch water and cook for them, while they sat and gossiped. They were like those river birds, always pecking and chattering, never kind. They hated Bala for wanting Yemi. Maybe they were jealous. Maybe they thought Bala deserved a better woman, meaning someone thin and like them. They spread the worst rumors, saying Yemi was cursed, that she would bring poverty and sickness to Bala, to the whole village. They were like poison arrows, their words aimed to wound and destroy. But Bala and Yemi, they kept meeting in secret, their love growing stronger in the shadows, like a stubborn plant pushing through hard ground. They found their own kind of happiness, away from the judging eyes of the village, and slowly, even I, young wisdom, started to see what Bala saw. That maybe, just maybe, the whispers were wrong. Maybe Yemi wasn't a curse. Maybe she was something else entirely. Something hidden. Something waiting to be revealed. But the village, they were still blind. And the wedding was coming. Oh, the wedding. That was when things truly got strange. When the news spread that Bala was truly going to marry Yemi, the village became like a pot of boiling soup, bubbling and spitting with gossip and disapproval. The elders shook their heads. The women clucked their tongues. And the young men, well, some of them laughed cruelly, making jokes about Bala and his giant bride. Mama Ife, bless her wrinkled face, she tried to talk to Bala. She went to his small hut, her walking stick tapping on the dusty ground. I saw her from afar, her voice rising and falling, her hands gesturing wildly. But Bala, he stood firm, like the Iroko tree in a storm. He respected Mama Ife, but he wouldn't change his mind. Bala, my son, Mama Ife pleaded, her voice cracking with age and worry. Think of your future. Think of your children. Do you want to bring shame and hardship upon yourself? That woman is too much, too big, too different. It is not natural. Bala bowed his head respectfully. Mama Ife, I hear your words. I respect your wisdom. But my heart chooses Yemi. I see goodness in her, kindness, a spirit that shines brighter than any star. Size is just skin. It is not the soul. Mama Ife sighed, a long, weary sound. Soul? What good is a soul if your belly is empty and your back is broken? The world sees the body, Bala. The world judges what it sees. And she walked away, her shoulders slumped, leaving Bala standing alone in the dust, his heart heavy, but his resolve unbroken. The village has started to withdraw their help from Bala. In our village, we always helped each other, especially with big events like weddings. But for Bala and Yemi's wedding, it was like a shadow fell over the community. People found excuses not to help. My farm needs tending, one would say. My child is sick, another would clean. Even the drummers who usually played at every wedding said their drums were suddenly broken. Dashola and Lolade, they were in their element. They went from hot to hot, spreading poison, turning the villagers against Bala and Yemi. Don't help them, they hissed. Let them see what happens when they defy tradition. Let them suffer the consequence of their foolishness. They even convinced some of the younger women to refuse to help with the wedding preparation, saying it was bad luck to associate with Yemi. So Bala and Yemi were left alone to prepare for their wedding, to face the village, to build their future, just the two of them, against the tide of disapproval and fear. It was like they were standing on a small island, surrounded by a sea of angry waves, threatening to swallow them whole. But they held onto each other, their love a small flickering flame against the darkness. And the wedding day, it was fast approaching. A day that was meant to be joyous, but felt more like a storm gathering on the horizon. A storm that no one could predict the true force of, and the unsettling feeling that something was terribly wrong grew stronger with each passing day. With the village turning its back, Bala and Yemi had to rely on themselves. It was hard, very hard. Imagine trying to prepare for a wedding with no help, no support, just the two of you. It was like trying to build a house with only two hands, while the wind tries to blow it all away. Bala, he worked tirelessly. He hunted extra hard, catching more bushmeat than usual to have enough food for the wedding feast, even though he knew few would come. He mended his old hut, making it as welcoming as he could for his bride. He even tried to learn to weave, to make a new mat for their sleeping place. But his fingers were better at holding a spear than delicate reeds. He was determined, his brow furrowed with effort, his heart set on making everything perfect for Yemi. Yemi, she was strong in a different way. She didn't complain, even when her sisters, Dashola and Lolade, made her work even harder. Knowing no one else would help, she cooked, she cleaned, she sewed her own wedding clothes, her big fingers surprisingly nimble with the needle. She hummed softly as she walked, old songs of strength and resilience, songs passed down from our ancestors. Her face was calm, her eyes steady, like a deep well that holds much water, even in drought. I went to see Bala sometimes, secretly. I felt sorry for him, for them both. I brought him small gifts, a piece of firewood, some fresh water from the stream, a handful of kola nuts to chew for strength. He was grateful. He smiled weary but still kind. He never spoke ill of the villagers, never complained about their coldness. He just kept walking, kept preparing, kept believing in his love for Yemi. Yemi, I saw her too, when I went to return Bala's empty water gourd. She was sitting outside her hut, weaving a basket, her brow glistening with sweat in the hot sun. Dashola and Lolade were inside, their voices sharp and mocking, but Yemi ignored them. She looked up when she saw me, her eyes warm and welcoming. "Wisdom, you are kind to come," she said, her voice deep and gentle, like the rustling of leaves in a big tree. "Thank you for your kindness." I didn't know what to say. I just nodded, feeling ashamed of the village, ashamed of myself for not speaking out against the whispers, against the cruelty. I left her a small gift too, a ripe mango I had found in the forest. She smiled again, that sun breaking through the clouds smile, and my heart felt a little lighter. They were alone, yes, but they were not broken. They had each other, and that was stronger than all the village disapproval, stronger than all the cruel words, They were preparing for their wedding in isolation, but they were preparing with love, with hope, with a quiet strength that was starting to make even me, young wisdom, wonder if maybe, just maybe, they knew something we all didn't. Maybe their love wasn't foolishness. Maybe it was something truly special. But the wedding day was still looming, and the unsettling feeling, the feeling of something strange and powerful about to happen, was growing heavier, like the clouds before a great storm. The wedding day dawned like any other, the sun rising red and hot over the village. But the air felt different, thick with tension, heavy with unspoken words. It was supposed to be a day of celebration, of joy, of community. But for Bala and Yemi, it was a day of something else, something uncertain, something tinged with fear and mockery. The villagers came to watch, yes, but not to celebrate. They came to stare, to whisper, to judge. They lined the village square, their faces hard, their eyes cold. They dressed in their everyday clothes, not the bright colors they usually wore for weddings. It was like they were attending a spectacle, not a sacred ceremony. Dashola and Lolade, they were at the front of the crowd, their faces twisted with smugness and something darker. They wore their finest clothes, brighter and more elaborate than anyone else's, as if to deliberately outshine Yemi, to make her look even more out of place. They whispered to each other, their sharp laughter cutting through the tense silence. Bala arrived first, dressed in simple but clean hunter's clothes. He walked tall, his head held high, ignoring the stares, the whispers. He looked determined, resolute, like a warrior going into battle, armed only with his love. He stood waiting at the wedding place, under the old Iroko tree, his face calm, but his eyes held a flicker of something I couldn't quite read. Was it fear? Or was it anticipation? Then Yemi arrived. She was magnificent. Despite the simple clothes she had sewn herself, despite the lack of finery, she was breathtaking. She walked slowly, deliberately, her head held high, her back straight. The ground seemed to sigh under her weight, but she moved with a grace that surprised everyone. Her face was serene, almost regal. She carried herself like a queen, even though the villagers treated her like dirt. But the villagers, they didn't see magnificence. They saw only size. As Yemi walked towards Bala, a wave of whispers rippled through the crowd. Louder now, bolder. Look at her, they hissed, like a mountain walking. She will crush him. What a disgrace. Some of the younger children started to giggle, pointing at Yemi, their parents doing nothing to stop them. Dashola and Lolade laughed openly, their voices shrill and cruel. "Sister, are you sure you can fit under the Iroko tree?" Lolade called out, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Dashola added, "Maybe we need to bring a bigger mat just for you." The villagers around them chuckled, their mockery echoing in the square. Yemi didn't flinch. She didn't falter. She kept walking, her eyes fixed on Bala, her face calm, her spirit unbroken. She reached Bala, and he took her hand. His touch gentle, respectful. He looked at her, his eyes filled with love, pure unwavering love, in the face of all that mockery, all that hatred. And then The unsettling feeling, the feeling of something strange about to happen, reached its peak. The air grew still. The whispers died down. Even Dashola and Lolade fell silent. Their laughter cut short. A strange hush fell over the village square. A hush that was deeper than just silence. It was like the very air was holding its breath, because something was about to change. Something unexpected. Something unsettlingly powerful. And it was all centered around Yemi, the giant bride. Standing there in the dust holding Bala's hand, ready to face whatever was to come. And what came next was something none of us could have ever imagined. As Bala and Yemi stood hand in hand under the Iroko tree, ready to begin their wedding ceremony, the ground began to tremble. At first, it was just a slight tremor, a barely noticeable vibration, but then it grew stronger, louder, the earth rumbling beneath our feet like a giant drumbeat. The villagers gasped, fear flickering in their eyes. They looked around wildly, searching for the source of the shaking. "Earthquake!" someone shouted. "The gods are angry!" cried another. Panic started to spread. People stumbling back, tripping over each other in their haste to escape the unseen danger. But the shaking wasn't random. It seemed to be centered right there, under the Iroko tree, right where Bala and Yemi stood. The ground around them vibrated more intensely, the dust swelling upwards in small tornadoes. Even the mighty Iroko tree, its roots deep in the earth, seemed to sway slightly. Then a low, deep sound echoed through the village, a sound that seemed to come from the earth itself, a sound that resonated in our bones, in our very souls. It was a sound of power, ancient power, sleeping power, now awakening. Dashala and Lolade screamed, their faces white with terror. They tried to run, but their legs seemed to be frozen to the ground. The other villagers were paralyzed too, fear holding them captive, their eyes wide with disbelief and dawning understanding. Because as the earth trembled and the deep sound echoed, Yemi began to change. She grew taller, wider, her body expanding, her simple wedding clothes stretching and straining. Her skin seemed to shimmer, to glow with an inner light. Her eyes, once gentle and kind, now blazed with a power that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. She wasn't just big anymore. She was gigantic, mountainous. Her head brushed the lower branches of the Iroko tree, her shoulders broad than the doorway of the village chief's hut. She became a giantess, the fattest woman alive. No, she was something more, something ancient, something elemental. And as she transformed, the truth, the hidden truth was revealed. The truth about Yemi, the truth about her size, the truth about the curse or blessing. It wasn't a curse at all. It was a gift, a heritage. Yemi wasn't just a woman. She was something else, something connected to the earth itself, to the ancient powers that slept beneath our village. She looked down at Bala, who still stood holding her hand, his face not of fear, but of wonder. She smiled, a smile that was no longer just sunshine breaking through the clouds, but like the dawn itself, powerful, radiant, world-changing. And in that moment, we all understood. The whispers has been wrong. The mockery had been foolish. Bala hadn't been bewitched. He had been chosen to marry not just a woman, but something extraordinary. and the unsettling feeling it shifted. It wasn't just unsettling anymore. It was awe. Pure, unadulterated awe, mixed with a healthy dose of fear, because we were witnessing something truly unbelievable. And the wedding ceremony, it was about to become something far beyond anything we could have ever imagined. When Yemi became her true self, her voice changed too. It was no longer the gentle rustling of leaves, but the deep, resonant rumble of the earth itself, amplified, magnified, filled with power. When she spoke, the very air vibrated around us. "Villagers of this land," she boomed, her voice echoing across the stone silence of the square. "You have mocked me, you have whispered, you have judged what you did not understand. You saw only my size, and you called it a curse. But I tell you now, size is not curse. Size is strength. Size is protection. Size is blessing." Her words hung in the air, heavy and powerful, sinking into our hearts, shaking the very foundations of our beliefs. We had always feared Yemi's size, seen it as something unnatural, something to be ashamed of. But now, standing before us, in her true gigantic form, she was magnificent, powerful, and strangely beautiful, in a way we had never understood before. She looked down at Bala, her eyes softening, the fairy power replaced by a gentle warmth. "Bala," she said, her voice still booming, but now filled with tenderness. "You saw beyond the size. You saw the heart. You saw the truth. For this you are blessed." Then she turned her gaze back to the villagers, her voice regaining its power. "You have turned your backs on my husband. You have refused to help. You have filled this day with mockery and unkindness. For this, you will learn. You will learn that judging by appearances is foolishness. You will learn that true strength comes from within, not from without. You will learn respect." She raised her massive hand, and the ground trembled again. But this time, it wasn't a tremor of fear, but of energy. A wave of warmth radiated outwards from Yemi, washing over the village square. And as the warmth touched us, something changed. The dry, cracked earth around the village square began to soften, to moisten. Small green shoots pushed through the dust, tiny plants unfurling their leaves, reaching for the sun. The barren trees lining the square sprouted new buds, bursting into vibrant green. Even the air seemed to become fresher, cleaner, filled with the scent of rain and blooming flowers. The villagers gasped again, this time not in fear, but in wonder. They looked around, their eyes wide with amazement, disbelief slowly turning into hope. The land around our village had been dry and infertile for years. Our harvest had been poor, our animals thin, our bellies often empty. But now in a matter of moments, everything was changing. Life was returning. Blessings were beginning. Yemi lowered her hand, her gigantic form slowly shrinking, returning to her normal large size. But she was different now. We saw her differently. We understood, at least a little, the truth of her words. She wasn't cursed. She was connected. Connected to the earth, to its power, to its life-giving force. And by marrying her, Bala hadn't brought a curse upon himself. He had brought a blessing upon our entire village. A blessing we had foolishly tried to reject. And the unsettling feeling, it was almost gone now, replaced by a dawning sense of hope. And the wedding ceremony, it was about to continue. But this time, it would be different. Very different. The wedding ceremony, which had been on the verge of collapse amidst fear and mockery, was reborn. It was transformed. The villagers, once cold and judgmental, were now humbled, awakened. They saw Yemi with new eyes, not as a giantess to be feared, but as something sacred, something powerful, something connected to the very life of our land. Mama Efe, who had been so worried, was the first to step forward. She walked slowly towards Yemi and Bala. Her wrinkled face softened with awe and understanding. She knelt before Yemi, a sign of deepest respect, something no one in our village had ever done before. Yemi, she said, her voice trembling with emotion, forgive us, forgive our blindness. We did not understand. We judged you wrongly. You are a blessing to our village. Yemi smiled gently, her eyes filled with understanding, not anger. She reached out her hand and Mama Efe took it, kissing her knuckles with reverence. Then one by one, other villagers stepped forward. Elders, women, even some of the young men who had laughed before. They knelt before Yemi, offering apologies, offering respect, offering help. The drummers who had claimed their drums were broken suddenly found them miraculously repaired. They started to beat a new rhythm, a rhythm of celebration, of gratitude, of awe. The women who had refused to help with the preparations now rushed forward, offering food, drinks, decoration, their faces filled with eagerness to make amends. Dashola and Loladi, they were still standing there, pale and shaking, their smugness completely gone, replaced by a mixture of fear and something else. Jealousy, perhaps, or maybe just maybe, a flicker of understanding too. Yemi looked at them, her gaze steady but not unkind. She didn't condemn them. She didn't punish them. She simply saw them. And in that scene, there was a silent invitation to change, to learn. The wedding ceremony continued, but it was no longer a mockery. It was a true celebration. The villagers sang, they danced, they feasted, their hearts filled with joy and gratitude. They celebrated not just Bala and Yemi's marriage, but the blessing that Yemi had brought to our village. The awakening that had happened within us all. The land around the village continued to bloom. The crops grew taller and stronger than ever before. The animals grew fat and healthy. The stream, which had been dwindling, now flowed full and clear. Life returned to our village, richer, more abundant than we had ever known. And it was all thanks to Yemi, the giant's bride. The woman we had once called a curse. Bala and Yemi, they stood at the heart of it all, their love shining brighter than the midday sun. They were no longer isolated, no longer mocked. They were respected, revered, loved. And their marriage, it wasn't a curse at all. It was the greatest blessing our village had ever received. And the unsettling feeling, it was completely gone, replaced by a deep sense of peace, a sense of wonder, a sense of knowing that sometimes the things we fear the most, the things we judge the most harshly, can be the very things that bring us the greatest blessings. But the story is not quite over yet. The first year of their marriage, that was when the true test began. The first year of Bala and Yemi's marriage was eventful. The blessings continued, yes. Our village thrived like never before. But blessings often come with trials. And Yemi's blessings, being connected to the earth, it brought its own unique set of challenges. Yemi's connection to the earth, it wasn't just about making the land fertile. It was deeper than that. She felt the earth's rhythms, its moods, its changes. When the earth was happy, Yemi was radiant, her laughter booming through the village, her energy boundless. But when the earth was troubled, Yemi felt it too. During the dry season, when the land grew parched and cracked, Yemi became heavy. Her moments slowed, her laughter faded, her spirit seemed to dim, like a fire struggling to burn in the rain. She wasn't sick, not in the way we understood sickness. It was more like she was sharing the earth's suffering, carrying its burden within herself. Bala, he was worried. He had seen Yemi's power, her magnificence, but he also loved her gentle heart, her kind spirit. He didn't want to see her suffer. He tried everything to help her. He brought her cool water from the deepest part of the stream. He shaded her from the harsh sun. He sang her songs of strength and hope. He stayed by her side, always. His love a constant presence, a steady anchor in the changing tides of her emotions. The villagers, they were worried too, but in a different way. They had learned to respect Yemi's power, but they still didn't fully understand it. When Yemi was heavy and quiet, whispers started again, not of mockery, but of fear. Is the blessing fading? They wondered. Have we angered the earth? Dashola and Lolade, they were among the loudest whisperers. Their old jealousy and negativity resurfacing. See? Dashola hissed. I told you it was a curse. The blessings are gone. Now the earth is angry again. And it's all because of her. Lolade nodded. Her eyes narrowed. Maybe we should do something to appease the earth before it's too late. Their whispers grew quieter now. We are still poisonous. Still aim to sow doubt and fear. But Bala, he didn't seem to listen to them. He trusted Yemi. He knew her strength, her goodness. He knew that her connection to the earth wasn't a curse, but a part of who she was, a part of her power, her blessings. He just needed to find a way to help her, to support her through these difficult times. He remained old Mama Efe's words about the baobab tree, strong and giving shade. He realized that Yemi wasn't just like the baobab. She was connected to the earth itself, to all of nature. And just like nature, she had cycles, seasons, times of abundance and times of quietness. It wasn't a curse, fading. It was just a cycle. He started to learn about the earth, about the seasons, about the rhythms of nature. He spent hours talking to the oldest farmers, listening to their wisdom, learning their secrets. He learned about the signs of the changing seasons, about the needs of the land, about the ways to appease the earth, not with fear, but with respect and understanding. And slowly he started to understand Yemi better too. He learned to read her moods, to sense the changes within her, to anticipate her needs. He became her protector, not just from the villagers' whispers, but from the earth's own changing moods. He became her anchor, her bridge between the human world and the earth's ancient power. And in doing so, he discovered his own true strength, a strength that wasn't about hunting or fight, but about love, unwavering understanding, patient love. And that was the greatest blessing of all. But the hidden truth, the deepest secret, was still yet to be fully revealed. As the first year of their marriage drew to a close, the dry season reached its peak. The land was parched, the stream dwindled to a trickle, and Yemi grew heavier, quieter, her spirit dimmed. The whispers started again, louder this time. filled with fear and doubt. Even some of the villagers who had knelt before Yemi at the wedding began to waver, their faith shaken by the harshness of the dry season. Dashola and Loladi, they were bolder now, their voices sharper, their accusations louder. "We told you," they hissed. "She's a curse. She is draining the life from our land. We must get rid of her before it is too late." They even started to plot, whispering about rituals, about sacrifices, about ways to break the curse. Bala heard their whispers, saw the fear in the villagers' eyes, felt the doubts creeping into their hearts, but he didn't waver. He held onto his faith in Yemi, in their love, in the blessings he knew she was. He had learnt much in the past year about the earth, about Yemi, about himself. He knew this was just a cycle, a test, and he knew how to face it. He went to Yemi, who was sitting outside their hut, her head bowed, her eyes closed, her body heavy with earth's weariness. He knelt beside her, took her hands, his touch gentle but firm. "Yemi," he said, his voice calm, strong, filled with love. "The dry season is at its peak. The earth is tired, yes, but the rains will come. The earth will bloom again, and so will you." She opened her eyes, her gaze heavy, but a flicker of warmth ignited within them when she saw Bala. "Bala," she whispered, her voice weak but still resonant. "The earth, it is suffering. I feel its pain. I carry its burden." Bala smiled a reassuring smile, filled with understanding. "I know," he said, "but you're not just carrying the burden, Yemi. You're also holding the promise of new life. You are the earth's strength, its resilience, its hope for the future." He stood up and gently helped her to her feet. "Come," he said, "let us go to the highest hill, the place where we first met. Let us show the earth that we have faith. Let us show it our love." They walked slowly hand in hand towards the highest hill. Overlooking the village, it was a difficult journey for Yemi. Her steps heavy, her breath labored, but Bala supported her, encouraged her, his love giving her strength. They reached the hilltop just as the sun began to set, painting the sky in fiery colors. They stood there, silhouetted against the setting sun. Bala lean and strong, Yemi large and powerful. Their hands clasped together, and then Yemi began to sing, not with her booming voice, but with a soft, slow hum, a melody that seemed to come from the earth itself, a song of ancient power, of deep connection, of hope. As she sang, a change began to happen. The air grew cooler. A gentle breeze rustled through the dry leaves. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, rolling in from the east, promising rain. And Yemi, she began to bloom. Her body seemed to lighten, her spirit to lift, her eyes to shine brighter. The earth beneath their feet vibrated, not with weariness, but with anticipation. Then the first drops of rain fell, large heavy drops, soaking into the parched earth, bringing life, bringing relief, bringing blessing. And as the rain fell, Yemi's song grew louder, stronger, more joyous, echoing across the hills, carrying the promise of abundance. The hidden truth finally unveiled. Yemi wasn't just the fattest woman alive. She was the earth, mother's daughter, choosing to bring life and blessing to our land. Her size wasn't a curse, but a vessel for ancient power, a conduit for the earth's life force. And Bala, by seeing beyond the size, by loving her for who she truly was, had unlocked that blessing, not just for himself, but for our entire village. The rains came, the land bloomed, and our village thrived. Bala and Yemi lived long and happy lives. Their love a beacon of hope and understanding, a testament to the power of seeing beyond appearances, of embracing the unexpected, of finding lessons in the most unlikely of places, and the unsettling feeling. It was replaced by wonder, a lifelong wonder at the hidden truths of the world and the extraordinary blessing of love. Now you've heard the story of Bala and Yemi, but you've only seen the beginning. In part 2, you'll witness even more incredible events. You'll see Yemi's power grow stronger. Prepare to be amazed as Yemi's connection to the earth unleashes even more spectacular miracles and faces even greater challenges. New threats emerge. The village prosperity attracts unwanted attention, and Bala and Yemi must protect their home from those who seek to exploit Yemi's power. Dashola and Lolade's ultimate fate. Will Yemi's sisters finally learn their lesson, or will their jealousy lead them down a darker path? Their story takes a shocking turn you won't expect. Bala and Yemi's love tested. Can their love withstand the immense power Yemi wields and the trials they must face together? Don't miss part 2 to see the rest of this captivating folk tale unfold. Part 2 is on the screen already. Click right here to continue the adventure and discover the full extent of Yemi's blessing and the enduring power of love.